Welcome. Today we will present the article Future of Food, written by Odegaard and Van der Voet. We will start with a short summary of the article itself. Background of the article. By 2013, 1 billion people worldwide were malnourished. Furthermore, the Food and Agriculture Organization estimated a 70% increase in food demand by 2050. With projected wealth increase, the pressure on agriculture and resources will rise even more. With this in mind, the authors wanted to do 3 sub-studies. The 4 scenarios are: A1, affluent world, focus on global and economy. A2, full world, focus on regional and economy. B1, vegetarian world, with a focus on global and environment. B2, low input world, regional and environmental focus. These scenarios will be explained later in this video. They made an analysis of future use of land use, water and fertilizer. In Sub-study 3, they present a complex model with which they predict future resource use. The model calculates resource use per commodity group, per region, and per scenario. According to this article, there are 4 possible scenarios for the future of food. These scenarios are based on 4 inputs: populations, economic development, technological development, and policy. If you take a graph out of this, we have globalization versus regionalization horizontally, and economy versus environment vertically. This gives the following storylines: A1, the affluent world; A2, the full world; B1, the vegetarian world; B2, the low input world. I'm going to describe each of these storylines separately, so fasten your seatbelt. The first storyline is the affluent world, which is focused on economy and globalization. This world has a high economic development, which leads to a low population growth. High economic growth also means a rapid increase of technology. Most people will have a Western diet with 26% animal-based food consumption. Now we are going to travel to the next world, the full world, which is focused on economy and regionalization. This world has a low economic development and a high population growth. The development of technology is slow and regional, partly due to limited funds. There is still a Western diet with 22% animal-based food consumption. In the previous worlds there was a big focus on economy. Now we will take you to the scenarios which focus on the environment. In the vegetarian world, where people and animals live in coherence, there is a medium-high economic development and a low population growth. Technological development has a medium growth and is global. Of course, in the vegetarian world, most people will eat veggies. Only 9% of the food consumption is animal-based, which are mostly milk and eggs. Now we hop on to the last world, the low input world. In this world there is a medium economic development and a medium population growth. The technological development is medium and regional. They have a reduced meat diet, with only 17% animal-based food.
This figure shows 2 out of the 4 adjustable variables: irrigated area and fertilizer use. The variable fertilizer efficiency gain is set to 0% in the full world. This will lead to a demand of multiple planets. According to the population size and irrigated area, this percentage could be much higher in order to use the cropland much more efficient. Those numbers were calculated partially by this complicated model. This system used to calculate the use of resource, namely land, water, and fertilizer use. There is no need to memorize, it's simply here to indicate the complexity of the model. Back in the bar plot, it's very noted that the difference between productivity of food crops is very high in the vegetarian scenario compared to the low input scenario. Even though the population is bigger in the low input scenario, the only compensation for the difference in production is the percentage of consumed meat, which only rises by 8%. It is hard to imagine that this makes up for the 70% decrease of productivity of food crops. Both the A1 and B1 scenarios have 7.8 billion people, and the total food production differs 6 billion tons per year. But in both cases, the average consumption is bigger than 2,800 calories per capita per day. Where does this difference come from? In the vegetarian world, several animal products are not included. For example, the meat of the chickens when they finish their productive period as egg machines are not included in the 9% of meat consumed in the vegetarian scenario. The same is true for the milk cows. The fish are also not included because the link to land use. Water use and fertilizer use is much weaker, and fish do not contribute much in calories per capita per day to the global average diet. We are left with two options: stop eating meat and feel less satisfied, or continue eating meat and face the consequences of nutrient shortages. However, there may be another solution which is not addressed in the original paper: eating insects. The world prices for grain and consequently meat will increase during the next 30 years, and this will increase the search for an alternative protein source, among which insects are considered to be very promising. Replacing conventional meat by insects has many advantages. The feed required to produce a kilogram of conventional meat is much higher than to produce a kilogram of insects. The feed that is saved can partly be used to feed the human population. The most frequent reared edible insects, such as crickets and mealworms, emit lower levels of greenhouse gases than conventional meat. Water required to produce edible insect species is less than meat. Also, many species are resistant to drought. We believe that the replacement of conventional meat by insects should be analyzed in another scenario, which could provide us with a much more optimistic and innovative approach to the future of food.
They conclude that the lifestyles of people in the industrialized world cannot be supported globally, and there is no such thing as a single solution. So the solution they suggest is a combination of food supply and food demand. There also should be more technological development in agriculture by, for example, increasing the efficiency of water and fertilizer use. But also consumers should produce less food waste and consume less animal proteins.